How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Banker Next Door. I am your host, Dr. Joe Berquist. Today, I wanted to run through ICBA's list of best community banks for 2024. I thought this was a pretty cool little article here, and I'll bring this in to show everybody. So, this is for anybody who doesn't know, the ICBA is the Independent Community Bankers Association, and so they have a magazine that they put out quarterly, I believe. And basically, so they always put out kind of their best of. So I thought I'd share this and run through, and they have a number of different categories. So it basically starts out with, these community banks hit their stride in 2024, and they intend to keep the momentum going with hard work, flexibility, and the expertise they've built over their years of service. In this year's annual listing of independent bankers' best performing community banks, we learn just how vital the right employees, mindset, and offerings are to industry success. So let's read on to see the rankings. So here we have. So this is banks that are less than 300 million in assets, and I'm not going to go. There are, I think they list 25 banks for each category. So I'm not going to go through every single one, but I'll run down the top three, I guess. We'll run it. So First Natural Slate Bank is basically based out in Arizona, and they have a 3-year pre-tax ROA, which is return on assets of 4.588. That's a fantastic number. So just to give everybody a point of reference, if you have a return on assets of 1%, that's kind of 1% is kind of like the industry standard. If you've got 1%, it's like you're solid. You're okay. If you're over 1%, obviously that's really good. And a lot of banks probably tend to be in that like 1.10 to like 1.20 range generally. And if you're kind of in that range, I mean, you're doing pretty good. I mean, you're not doing too bad. But I mean, obviously, to have a 4.588, just an absolutely that's a fantastic number. So number 2 is Nebraska State Bank, and they're basically sitting there at 4.204, and then we have Covington County Bank. Again in the fours, 4.089, so doing really good. And then number 4, we got Richland State Bank. So these banks obviously performing very, very well. And let's go down and take a. So you can see here, and they kind of give, and this is nice because they kind of give a snapshot on a couple of these banks, go through a little bit of a Q&A here. But I mean, you can see, for a 65 million asset bank out in Nebraska, to have a 3-year ROA of 4.204, I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, for, $65 million, that's a tiny bank. Okay, now let's go here. Okay, so this is 300 million to 1 billion in asset size. So we have Finwise Bank out in Utah, who's got 8.7%, which is crazy. We've got Bank of Montana, which is basically 5.444. We have People's Bank, which is at 5.337, and then we have Serve Bank, which has got basically at 4.602. So as we move down here. This is on Paradise Bank, which ranked like number 13. Bank of Montana, which is 338 million in assets. Let's see as we keep going down here. Okay, now we're going to get into, so this is over $1 billion. So this is banks over $1 billion. So number 1 is we have State Bank of Texas, obviously down in Texas. 3-year average pre-tax ROA, 4.849. Stellar. Number 2 is Apex Bank in Tennessee, 4.09. Wallace Bank, which is in Texas, 3.825. And then Sutton Bank, which is in Ohio, 3.699. So stellar performance there from those three banks as we go down here. Just seeing what else we got here. Let's see here. Do we have another category? Nope. That's where we stop. Now, I think it's also interesting note here. Now, you can see here that this bank, United Bank in Alabama, basically was number 20 on the list. They had assets of 1.3 billion, 3-year average pre-tax ROA 2.35, which is still an incredible. That's still absolutely fantastic return on assets right there. But you can see as the banks start to get a little bit bigger, it can get a little bit harder to generate. Kind of generate some of those magnificent returns. But still overall, very, very cool. So I thought this was a great list. Showed a lot of, really good performing community banks across the country. Kind of a lot of states well represented. Just looking around, I see it Minnesota, I see Arkansas, not Arkansas, Arizona. I see, Minnesota, Arizona, Texas, PA. We got, United Bank of Philadelphia in there. Colorado. Let's see here. Where else we got? New England. We got Louisiana. We got Missouri. Got Kansas, Mississippi. Let's go back down here for a second. Let's see anybody here. Connecticut, Utah, Illinois, Montana, Florida, Alabama, Georgia. So, New Mexico. We got Idaho, New York, Maryland. Yeah, so very well. North Dakota, South Dakota, California. So I think pretty good representation of a lot of banks from around the country. So, but that's all I had for everybody here in this episode. Like I said, I just wanted to point out, I like that ICBA puts this out, just kind of giving a shout out to some of the best performing community banks around the country. Maybe your bank was on that list. Maybe somebody you either bank with or you work for, or what have you. But again, definitely kudos to all the banks that made the list here. And so again, hope everybody found this a little bit interesting or a little bit informative. But if you like this video, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, we are on YouTube, Rumble, and all major podcast platforms. Please make sure to leave your comments down below, and I will be back again to hit everybody up with some really good information real soon. Thanks a lot.